So here's one of those new features to Photoshop CS5 that I think will surprise a lot of people if they've been predominantly a Photoshop user. Although this feature is not new in the Adobe application family. For those of you that have used After Effects before, you have seen Puppet Warp in the past, but now it's a part of Photoshop, which is pretty cool. And I think they've advanced it a little bit. So let's say that, for those of you that haven't used it before, let's say that I wanted to tilt the head here on the baby. And I can do that because this is a photo of my daughter, and I took it, so I'm allowed to do that. One of the things that I want to do is isolate her and basically tilt that. Well, I've already done the isolation part. I've made a selection, masked her out. You guys can see that here. And for this demonstration, I'm just going to go ahead and apply the mask. So let me just do that. Now, I want to be able to sort of tip her head. In the old school days, we might have done that by making a selection, masking out her head from the body, free transform rotating that, and then patching in any of the gaps that were created. But thanks to this new feature, we don't have to do that. So if we go to Edit Puppet Warp, you'll see it actually creates a mesh over the active pixels. And you can have a variety of densities to the mesh. You can have fewer points. You can have more points. You can really go crazy with this. And I'm just going to set it to normal for right now. And what you do here is you basically drop in some pins of where you would like the mesh to be locked. So I'm going to lock some of these ones at the neck here. And I'm also going to lock some of these things over at the shoulder. And you can see I'm not really clicking in the coordinate points. I'm just sort of randomly clicking areas that I think should end up locked. When you get into this tool further and you get a little bit more advanced with it, you'll also be able to see that you have a pin depth. And this means if you're going to move something that's going to overlap existing pixels, do you want the pixels you're moving to go behind the pin or in front of the pin? Something to keep in mind when you're playing later. So so now I've got some pins set across the bottom here. I might add a couple more. But now if I go up to the top and I hold down the Command key or Control for Windows users, and I just click and grab the head and move that over, you guys can see I'm now tilting the head. The body's not really moving. And I'm managing to do a pretty aggressive transformation to this picture without cutting or slicing any pixels down here in the neck area that would normally require rubber stamping. So if I'm happy with what I got, I can just go ahead and press on the check mark up here. That applies the transformation. And if I just load the original picture in the background, you'll see how far that got moved. That's a pretty good distance. That's a lot of pixels. And hey, look at her dancer head. And I don't have to rubber stamp anything. So, man, did that save a lot of time. Thank you, Adobe, for adding that to Photoshop. So there you go. It's a pretty cool, powerful feature. Puppet Warp.